Hi everyone, welcome to the Waffle Flower channel. Katie Gehring here, and on today's Throwback Thursday, I'm combining some old with new to create this card, which was very much inspired by the announcement this week of Pantone's 2017 Color of the Year Greenery. So to do that, I have pulled out the Leafy stamp set. I'm going to be using those fern images with some two-step stamping and stamp layering, and the Wild and Free stamp set. I'm going to be using the sentiment from that set on my card. My first step is going to be to add some black ink spatters to the background of my card. And I'm doing that first so that if I have an unfortunate mishap with the ink spatters, I haven't stamped too much or gotten too far along in the process. I've allowed a few minutes for the ink spatters to dry, and now I have pulled out Chirp Chirp ink as well as the solid fern image, and I'm going to start stamping this in a border around my card. I was really excited about Pantone's choice for the 2017 Color of the Year. The color is officially called Greenery, and it's described as refreshing and revitalizing, symbolizing new beginnings. And it's sort of a zesty, yellowy green color, which I think is represented super nicely by Chirp Chirp ink. And you'll see here in a moment, I'm going to layer up the Chirp Chirp ink with a couple other ink shades to just get a little bit of depth and variation on that greenery color. So now that I've got some of my ferns stamped in place, I'm ready to add some additional ink to the stamped images to see if I can get a little bit of color variation. So you see I've stamped a test image onto the white paper mat that I work on, and I layered the Chirp Chirp with You Said What ink, which is a really pretty yellow. And typically when I'm doing ink layering, I will use a stamp positioner to make sure that I am super precise with my stamping. But I decided for this card I really want it to look lush and natural, and so I am just kind of doing some two-step stamping by eyeballing it. So I've stamped a few of the images, layered them with the You Said What, and now I'm going in with the Daydreaming ink and adding some darker tones as well to my border. And I really love how the Waffle Flower inks just blend together so beautifully and give you a lot more options with supplies that you already have. I'm going to layer up my last few images, and then I'm going to pull out the fern outline, and I am going to stamp it over some of the fern images using VersaFine's Onyx Black ink. This really adds some extra interest and dimension to my lush border of ferns that I have going around here, and complements the sentiment that I'll be stamping in black as well as the black spatters as well. And I'm just sort of eyeballing the placement of the outline stamp. It's pretty easy to line up, and the design of it's pretty forgiving even if you're not spot on with your placement. Now I've pulled out my pinking layers die, and I die cut a panel of white cardstock with one of the medium-sized dies from that stamp, and I have got my Wild and Free stamp set pulled out, and I'm pulling out the large image that has the deer and the fern and the roses, as well as the Wild and Free sentiment attached to it. Now I just want to use the sentiment, so I've actually pulled out my handy dandy cutter bee scissors, and I am just trimming out the Wild and Free sentiment from the image. I'm cutting carefully, kind of stretching it where the sentiment is super close to the other images, and you see that they will nest right back together if I ever want to stamp the entire image together. So I pulled out the rest of the sentiment from the stamp set, and it's going to say, all good things are wild and free, but I'm also going to divide the all good things, and I'm going to figure out their placement here on my stamp positioner and ink it up with a little bit of VersaFine ink and stamp it onto the panel. I find these stamp positioner tools to be super handy, especially when you are stamping your sentiments. First of all, it really gives you an opportunity to kind of preview what your sentiment is going to look like. And then once you have something that you like, you know that you're going to get the placement just right. And when you're stamping, should something skip or not transfer completely, you have an opportunity to go back and stamp again without messing up your card. So I'm going to add a little bit of a stitched border around the pinking layers die, and I'm just doing that with embroidery floss. I pulled out 3 strands of floss and just threaded a needle, and I'm going to do a running stitch around that. I used a little bit of washi tape to secure the threads in the back, and now I have taken some foam tape that I'm going to use to adhere the sentiment panel to the card. I'm going to be finishing up this card. My last step is going to be to adhere the sentiment panel and then trim down the stamp panel just slightly so that I can attach it to a green card base. If there's a Waffle Flower product that you'd like to see featured on an upcoming Throwback Thursday, just leave me a comment below. For more product information, visit waffleflower.com. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook for more creative ideas. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.